So we're just going to review a little bit and then move on to how to use it in your paper. So here's an example I pulled up a while ago from Northwood. I researched our company, our business school, and this is the screen I saw. You won't see it now, but this is what I saw at the time. And so there's some key factors on the home page that you will need for your references. One is, what do they call themselves? So the web address is northwood.edu, but what they call themselves, or what the publication title is Northwood University. And that's what I will use as part of my references in the publication spot. The other thing I noticed was there was no date. Shame on us. Okay, so then I wanted to learn the history, so almost every website has an about page, and that's where they put the history. So I selected about, and I found this page. So over on the left-hand side, I found history, and I pulled up this very lengthy description of how history was made. But notice there is no author associated with this. Of course, somebody wrote it, staff wrote it. Nobody got credit for it. So what do you do with a citation if you don't have an author? Well, you may recall that we would take away that spot and the article title gets its place. So now what's my article title? Well, my article title was about. That was the tab I clicked on. So I'm giving breadcrumbs to my readers so they can find it the way I did. So I'm going to use about as the article title. My publication title or journal magazine title would be Northwood University. So here I'm going to put the website, what they call themselves, Northwood University, and the article title will be about. And so my citation will look like this. About, I didn't have a date, so I put N period D period for no date. Notice I've got periods separating each of these components. Northwood University, period, and then I like to put the date. I retrieved it, so this was 2015, from, and then I put the web address, which you can just copy and paste. Good. Now how do I use it? In text, when I use that information, here's my reference, and in text, I will use whatever's sticking out because I'm using hanging indent and the year. So when I use information from that article, I will do a citation that includes about and D. But what if I have more than one about on my reference sheet? What if I've been to two different websites and both of them start exactly the same way with about? Then I have to give more information. I have to do about, and I'll go to the third component, the name of the publication. So about Northwood. Notice I don't say about Northwood University because we want to keep these as brief as possible. So just enough for them to find it in my reference sheet. That's what I'm after.
Now, to clear up some misinformation about quoting. Most of you know that when you quote, it has to be verbatim. That means it has to be word for word exactly as it appears in the original. And often you will swipe whole segments from your website and just cut and paste them. And as long as you put quotation marks around them, you think it's good. But they are naked. And what do I mean by that? That means nobody wants to read quote after quote after quote after quote. When we ask you to write a paper, we expect you to do the writing and use the quotes only as support, which means you have to introduce it. And at the very least, you have to put a few words leading into your quote. For instance, and this is from the history of Northwood, I swiped a whole quote, and I at least put in, Northwood began when, on March 23rd, 1959, two young men with an idea, a goal, and a pragmatic philosophy to encompass it all broke away from their careers in traditional, da-da-da-da-da. So I at least led into it to indicate why I put this quote in my paper. You cannot expect your reader to figure out what you drew from that quote. You must guide the reader, and I guided by at least putting in Northwood began, a cue as to why I put the quote in. And of course I still have to do my in-text citation down at the bottom, which would be about, no date.